Oh.
With 1.8 seconds, Charles Barkley. Over Ron Williams. 1.9 left in regulation. Chapman hit it.
Richardson up ahead. Look out. Hello, Amari Stoudemire elevates and detonates.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Suns Planet Pod. A big week for the Phoenix Suns as they went 2-1, getting some big-time victories after earlier in the week having a fourth quarter collapse versus the Atlanta Hawks. They bounced back and showed the world that in an NBA Cup game versus a top-tier team, they can do it right back, beating the Minnesota Timberwolves, scoring 8 points in 45 seconds and securing an NBA Cup victory, going 2-0 and going 2-1 on the week. An absolute fantastic week of basketball for the Suns towards the end after a little bit of a rough start, and we're here to break it all down on this episode with me, Bruce Velez, and Kevin Salute. Kevin, how you doing today?
Good. I was telling Bruce that we could just talk about last night's game, and it will take us like an hour, right? But nice to be back, and I was almost a no-show today again because my alarm doesn't work. How does alarm on iPhones work? Why don't they work? Happy that we're doing this again, and I'm so excited to talk about stuff from last week. Although we lost one, but it's every time we come out in a 2-1 record, um, it's always a nice week.
Yes, and I feel like comparative to like last year and the years past, where we've had these expectations of like, oh, we're gonna go 2-1 this week, and then we go 0-3, and we're like, how the hell did that happen? And we're just like breaking it down,
Exactly.
yelling, and getting that. This year, I've like tempered my expectations. Like every week, I'm just like, oh, they're gonna go 1-2, and maybe they'll go 2-1, and then if they go 2-1, I'm just like, okay, I'm happy. Like they did what I thought, or maybe they did better than I thought, and that's ultimately just like the joy that I've had with the Suns. They are currently 10-6, tied with the Timberwolves right now, currently for sixth in the Western Conference. And I'm really shocked, not only me, I feel like you, Kev, I feel like Jake as well, who unfortunately could not be here due to a work meeting, but will be here next week. I feel like a lot of these people, even many outside fans as well, did not expect the Phoenix Suns to be this dominant, to be this controlling on the offensive and defensive end. But it clearly has been showing that they have been able to be pretty solid. They're 9-5 in the Western Conference at home. They're 7-2, 3-4 on the road. In their last 10 games, they are 8-2, which is just crazy to see for a team comparative to last year, where there were so many issues with this squad.
That's so true. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm looking at our YouTube live, and it looks like we're on a portrait mode. It's like
On the live?
yeah, on YouTube. Gosh,
I don't know how that's working. Because I don't have it set up to that.
maybe it's a me thing. Sorry, guys. Just a little tech diff.
Yeah, so this is the thing what happens when I've hosted and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's fine.
No.
No.
I just clicked on it and it said that we were normal. And that is horizontal on my end. I just looked on YouTube.
Okay. Maybe it's just a me thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna drop and then just rejoin.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
So while Kev does that, we can kind of get some questions and thoughts from you guys. Let's see what everyone is saying in here. We got Juan Carlos is here. What's up? I know Jake is here with Saints 146 saying, what's a game? We got obviously Kevin. He's pumped here. What's up? We got Suns Fever 83. Morning, gentlemen. How are we all doing? It is in portrait. Why is it in portrait? This is, I don't know what's going on. I logged into the account. We had a portrait thing to the side of the left. I closed out of the portrait so that we didn't have to do the portrait. And then I see only on my screen that it is normal. And That's not good if it's in portrait, because I went on YouTube and it said that it was legitimately horizontal. So I don't know what is going on at the moment right now. But while Kev resets up, tries to get back into here, I'm going to look at this. Yes, we are in portrait mode, which is, I don't know how that is happening. I'm going to have to text. We can talk a little bit about the Suns here. So this week they had 3 games. Kevin and I both said they would go 2-1, but we both had different games that we thought they would go. And I personally thought that they were going to win versus the Hawks and versus the Blazers, but lose to the Timberwolves overall. I believe Kevin said he thought they were going to lose to the Blazers, but was going to beat the Timberwolves and the Hawks. So ultimately, I think we were wrong on our predictions, because they ended up losing to the Hawks, but ended up winning versus the other 2 teams. Hey Kev, I went and checked. It's still on portrait, so
It's
I don't.
portrait.
I don't know where it looks like we're having a portrait stream for today, because I can't tell you how to fix it,
Yeah,
and
that's
I don't know
okay.
where Jake is, and I don't know how to use this thing, because it's not like it's in banners or media assets or anything like that, to where it's like,
Yeah. Uh, you know what? Let's just go with it.
I don't know.
At least our
I don't know.
faces are like closed up,
Yeah,
and we have pretty faces. Don't we?
yeah, exactly. Um, well, you guys are gonna get some great zoomed in shots today for this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
see, because I have the portrait on my screen, which I hid earlier because I don't want it on my screen. But I don't understand why that it's
that's the thing. On my end, I have a portrait screen on the left, and then on the right is the landscape screen.
yeah, that's how it looked like when I joined in too. And then I just closed out of it, and then I thought, I was like, oh, that will just get rid of it. Nope, guess not. It's just gonna be in your face, just zoomed
maybe,
in here.
maybe because one of us is uh or has that port portraits screen, which is why this is happening. So it's kind of my fault. So I am
Uh,
apologize.
it's all good. It's all good. We'll just have to work through it, I guess. And like
Okay,
you said,
yeah.
we'll just have to do our best. So Kev, let's get into the first game of the week here, because
Okay,
we're talking
yeah,
about some stuff, and we'll talk about we'll get the loss out of the way, right? We'll kind of rip off the
yeah.
band-aid, we'll kind of talk about the bad things, then we'll get into the good parts of the week towards the end. Unfortunately, the Suns
For
were,
sure.
pretty dominant. They were, I believe, 8-6 coming into this game versus the Atlanta Hawks. They were, or 8-5, excuse me, coming into this game versus the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks were also 8-5. They were both tied at this point. And the Suns were on a pretty solid win streak as well, winning 6 of their last 7 games. And were, in control for a majority of this game versus the Hawks. They did have the lead, had a big third quarter, outscoring them 37-27. But unfortunately, a fourth quarter collapse happened, something that we have notoriously seen these last couple of years for the Phoenix Suns. They ended up losing to the Hawks in a fashion that we have seen in the past, 124-122. For the Hawks, they had players like Jalen Johnson have 25 points, Onyeka Okongwu had 27, Nikhil Alexander Walker had 26, and for the Suns, Dylan Brooks was the leading scorer with 34 points, with 14 field goals made and 3 three-pointers made with 3 steals. Devin Booker was the second in command with 27 points, and then you had Jordan Goodwin, Colin Gillespie, and Ryan Dunn all getting double digits with 14, 15, and 12 points. What were some major takeaways from this game for you, Kev?
I mean, I think it's just losing focus, right? After that scary fall, but by I can't pronounce his name. I believe he's a rookie, right, or sophomore. But yeah, after that scary fall, the Suns kind of like just lose focus and eventually let go of the lead. So, as tough as it is, you kind of kind of see the if they're hitting shots, they're really dangerous type of thing. But it's just unfortunate that that happened, and the Suns lost focus, and just entirely blew up that lead. But you can really see the potential on this team, which they corrected, on that Minnesota game. I mean, not really corrected. There's so many flaws in that game, especially on that second half, after leading by 18 in the first half. But it was a different outcome, and we're going to talk about that eventually later on. But so many things that they basically made things right. The adjustment you can see there, right? From the coaching staff. So I'm not sure what I'm talking about anymore, but yeah, please.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, yeah, the coaching staff, I mean, clearly has showcased that they can work through these changes, right? We see from a game versus the Atlanta Hawks where they have a little bit of a fourth quarter collapse, something that we haven't really seen so far this season. We've seen a little bit of fourth quarter comebacks. Maybe we've seen some first half collapses towards the first half of the season, but now we obviously saw something kind of transcribed that we're not really used to it. You kind of see how these coaches can adjust to on the fly, how they can kind of bounce back from these contests. And versus the Atlanta Hawks, they did that versus the Trailblazers, which we'll get to in a little bit. I do want to talk about Dylan Brooks here in this game because 34 points for the Suns, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals. He's been very, very impactful for this Suns team this season. I know a lot of fans were questioning Dylan Brooks kind of earlier on in the season. He was taking a lot of threes. He wasn't really making them. A lot of fans were, why is Dylan Brooks shooting so many shots, right? Why is he doing all this? But Brooks has had a very successful season so far for the Suns, averaging 21 points, which is a career high for Dylan Brooks at this point. Only, we're not completely game into the season, but 10 games in for Brooks as he's dealt with injuries. He's averaging 21 points. He's got 2 assists, 3.3 rebounds, zero point 0.2 blocks. He's averaging 2.1 steals, which is his highest in his career by a long shot. The highest career besides that was 1.2 back in Memphis in 2021, 2022. He's shooting 35% from three, a little bit worse than what he was last year, but 2.6 makes on 7.6 attempts, 46% from the field, 87% from the free throw. Dylan Brooks has been that guy that has really stepped up when the Suns need him, not only offensively, but defensively, especially as that kind of just aggressive hustler and someone that's going to be that disruptor. What are your kind of takeaways from Brooks this season? Has he really impressed you so far?
Yeah, really impressive. I know for a fact that I think that was a couple of pods ago when I was here, because I missed a few, right? That I think he's having a better season that he had than when he was in Houston. So, but EJ mentioned like a few games back that we don't have to be surprised by it because he did that in Memphis. Um, but it's kind of like he's always being overshadowed by like Jean Morant, let's say, or in Houston you have Van Fleet and all those guys that are more dominant offensively. And the calling card for Brooks over the last few years is basically his hustle, right? But yeah, he's a scoring uh, menace as well, if given a chance. So, like we said before, it's just like Grayson Allen. I think it's just the system that's opening up, giving him opportunities to shine here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really been great. I mean, versus the Pacers, he had 32 points. Then that next night versus the Atlanta Hawks, he had 34. Then once again last night, 22 points with 47% from the field, 4 from 5 from 3-point range, 5 rebounds, an assist, and 2 steals. He has been absolutely dominant. He's had a steal in every single game that he has played so far this season. As I'm looking at his stats, the highest he's had in a game this season is 4, which is just crazy to see. And you got to give credit to Dylan Brooks right there because he has stepped up when the Suns need him most.
Yeah.
So, Kev, let's get
What's
into the
his
next.
wh-
Oh, go
what's
ahead.
his averages in terms of points?
He's averaging 21 points.
21 points. Okay. All right. Not an all-star level, but you can really see the impact there because I was going to make an argument. What if Dylan Brooks you know, all season long keeps this up, right? Similar to Colin Gillespie and how I'm seeing like 6 months of or six not 6 months, sorry, six six uh what do you call that award?
Six man.
Sixth man player of the year, already having a buzz in there. So there, thanks for helping me
Yeah, of
out.
course. I mean,
But you know, like they said, there's no one's gonna watch an all star with Dylan Brooks
I mean,
there.
he's been doing really good, and like Suns
Yeah,
Fever says here, we have a coach that knows how to best utilize our players, and I couldn't agree more. A guy in Jordan Ott has really brought out the best in all of these guys, from the top of
yeah,
the top, like the Devin Booker, the Grayson Allen, the Dylan Brooks, the guys that we expected to be the best, but also guys like Colin Gillespie and even Mark Williams, who has been absolutely fantastic in these games for the Suns and has been a key vital point for their
yeah,
defense and in their front court and for how stable they can be with their rebounding and stuff like that.
yeah, for sure.
Just absolutely insane. So
Yeah,
let's get into the next game here, Kevin. They played the Portland Trailblazers. They beat the socks off the Portland Trailblazers. Let's just put it that way. 127 to 110. Did not really seem to lose control of this game. Outscored them in the third quarter 36 to 21. And basically that was the deal. And the main difference in this game for the Suns was they learned, right? They had that little bit of a collapse there in the game with the Atlanta Hawks, but this game they were strapped down on defense and went up
yeah,
against one of the better defensive teams and did really, really solid. They had 19 steals as a team, which I believe was a record for the franchise or tied a record for the franchise. I know Ryan Dunn himself had 5 total steals, which was a career high for himself, being very impactful on that side of the ball. But then you had guys like Mark Williams, who had 15, 6 and 1 with 2 steals. Devin Booker with 19, 6 and 5 with 3 steals. Brooks had 12 points. Oso Ighodaro had a big fourth quarter run where he had 8 points and had 14 total points with a +7 and 4 rebounds. Colin Gillespie had 19. Jordan Goodwin had 10. And we've talked about this before, but when the Suns don't have a guy that goes off for 20 or 30, if they can have 4, 5, 6 guys that can go off for double-digit points, that offense is so spread out, it's hard for these teams to really stop them. And we've seen that in a lot of these games this year. And once again, another representative here in this Trailblazers game, in the Timberwolves game as well, which we'll get into a little bit. With Williams 15, Booker 19, Brooks 12, Ogudaro 14, Goodwin 10, Gillespie 19. That's 6 players in double digits, and 2 of them in Ryan Dunn and Royce O'Neal were 1 point shy of being in double digits. So that's just crazy to see the impact of how spread out this offense truly is with the ball.
Definitely agree. And again, it's just a system that's working. That system that Jordan Ott is implementing with his Suns team is just really a fit to the roster. And it's not like last year when you have a coach that already has his like style, and then even though it's not the right group of players, you're just kind of like instill that those principles. So it was quite hard, so this is the advantage of having like a first time head coach, that they learn as they go, and and that's where they establish their identity, that they want to set, right. So kudos really to the coaching staff here, for making an adjustment from that Hawks loss and just pouring it on on the Blazers team. It was pretty close in the first half. They didn't, have that like a huge lead in the first half. It was pretty close for my taste. But as I remember, this was the game that I thought they were gonna go down because of in the past, the physicality that these young players from the Blazers really apply. And that's, again, I mentioned this last year. These were the games that we were, or last week rather. These were the games that we're losing last year. These young teams, uh, just roughing the Suns off, and then the Suns would just lose composure. But in this case, no, it wasn't that case, which is really, really refreshing to see.
Is it okay if we say this? Last year's team was soft compared to this team. Is that a
Oh,
fair
for sure.
adjustment to say? Okay,
That
okay,
for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure because I feel like that's
Nope.
really like the main like just like being blunt and straight up. That's the way to say it.
Yeah.
Is
That
legitimately this team has that hustle. They have that heart. They are going to give it their all regardless if they're up 20, if they're down 10, they are going to be fighting. They're not going to let that physicality or these other teams that think they're younger that can think they can get the best of them come into their building and do so. And the Suns did that versus the Blazers. In the Blazers game, we got to see Tumani Kamara once again. Didn't have the flashiest game, only 6 points for them. Denny Avila has been very nice. Jaden Sharp had 29. So they were able to have some bucket getters on their own. But the Suns just, unfortunately, were just a little bit better. Shot better for the field goal range. The 3-pointers for the Blazers, they only shot 24% compared to the Suns' 35%, which was huge. Suns out-rebounded them as well in this game, which is just another big thing for this Suns team and has really helped this team as well. The turnover, cutting down on the turnovers has really helped this Suns team earlier in the season, so they're not giving up as many second chance points. Fighting on the offensive glass and having an actual competent center room is allowing them to get rebounds and control the paint, not only on the offensive end, but also on the defensive end, so that they can put that rim pressure. These are the little things that we did not see last year that are really translating to help them get some of these big time wins as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Really, really love what they've done in this game.
Okay. And then lastly, Kev, let's get into the game of the hour. I mean,
The win of the season, really, the best win of the season. It wasn't pretty, but it was the best win
yeah,
of
it
the
was
season thus
beautiful.
far. It
It
was
was beautiful.
beautiful.
Suns in a big game. Now I have to ask you this question before we get in. Do you respect the cup?
I now
Now
respect the
you
cup.
respect the cup. Okay, I'm glad. We better have some cup respecters in here because the Suns, let's just say, they respect the cup. They've had played 2 games in the NBA Cup. They played the Utah Jazz on Halloween night after getting embarrassed. And like Jake similarly said in our group chat, this game really reminded him of that Jazz game when they did lose, where they did have that little bit of a fourth quarter comeback. Unfortunately, lost in overtime. They bounced back on Halloween. They beat the Jazz. They get ready. They start the Cup 1-0. Now they take on the Timberwolves, a team Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, the shooting guard. One battle is being heard around the world from the Suns and Timberwolves fans over on social media. Anthony Edwards goes off, has 41 points, a big third quarter for him. Devin Booker struggles, gets into foul trouble early on, but it does not matter because the Suns pull out the NBA Cup victory, going 2-0, beating the Timberwolves 114 to 113. And like I said earlier on the podcast, had a comeback in 45 seconds when they were down 8 to come back and win this game with a big bucket from the man, Colin Gillespie, who was taking this team by storm.
That's your man, right?
It is. It is. I can tell you, as someone who has watched Colin Gillespie since I was 19 years old when I was in college, when I had to watch it go up against me every other twice a year, I knew the pain, and I can tell you I know what those Timberwolves fans feel because he has been insane. I have an article. I know, shout out to John. He did an article on Colin Gillespie following this game that came out this morning. So definitely go check that out. I have one talking about his future with the team because he kind of talked about that a little bit yesterday before this game. But man, oh man, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 20 points, 4 threes, and 2 steals with a plus 14 for Colin Gillespie. You also got Jordan Goodwin, who had a very good game late as well, getting some of those steals, helping out with Colin in transition. 13 points for him, 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals as well for Jordan Goodwin. Brooks once again had another big game with 22 points. Booker a little quieter with 16. Mark Williams was a minus 15, but had 19 points and 8 boards. And then Royce O'Neal, 6 points and 16 points, and 3 threes, doing what he does best from beyond the arc. Suns were a little bit in control early on here in this game. They took a little bit of a first half lead. Then the Timberwolves had that 33-19 third quarter that really shook things up for the Suns, took control late in the second half, but the Suns never gave up, Kev, and that's the one thing that
Never.
matters.
No quit team, and I really, They don't make sense, and I love it. You know, this Suns team is all hustle. They're not gonna quit, even though in their losses, right? I remember watching that Golden State game where they were down almost 30. Was it? I'm not
Yep.
over exaggerating, right?
No.
And almost came back to the game. Oh gosh. And I used this word last week to describe this team: resiliency.
Yep.
This team is pretty resilient. You know, Devin Booker, one of the most forgettable games of his career, just throwing the ball over every possession. He had like nine, right? Almost.
Mhm.
He had nine turnovers. Really forgettable game here, and I'm just glad that it was not on national television. But and Dylan Brooks fouling out in the last few minutes of regulation. And again, I'm gonna go back last year. The Suns establishing a lead on a game and then lose composure and just give up, right? In this case, you know, in the third quarter, I thought they were gonna give up when Minnesota jumped ahead, but no. Again, this team has no quit effort wise. Even if their shots were not falling as they did in the first half, they just slugged it out, you know, and that's what you love to see on this team, right? Or about this team, really is the heart. So great game. It wasn't pretty win. Well, it was, but um, and the officiating in this game. I'm not one to always just blame the refs, but fuck, man, that's one of the worst flopping games that I've ever seen. I chatted like Justin from Fanning the Flames because I saw his story. He's at the game. Said, you know, Randall on that last shot tried flopping. That the flopping on this game was just really, you know, it's just shameless.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Suns fans tweeting about the referees throughout the game. Obviously, very frustrated with that. I mean, it comes and goes. As a fan, I do see the frustration in those kind of moments, and clearly when they're trying to flop and do stuff like that, it's not fun if you're the fan of the opposing team. But I just can't seem to tweet about it anymore because I feel like it just goes. It's just tough because everyone on the one side is going to agree, but then the other side's just not going to agree, and then it just starts fights, and it's just ridiculous. And the officiating was definitely not the
It
greatest
was
yesterday. It was
horrible,
horrible.
yeah.
It was horrible. It was
I mean,
definitely horrible.
you just don't say that because the Suns was in, you know, most of those calls were in the disadvantage, right? But you can just, how can you reward a guy a timeout when he basically does not have beyond a doubt or beyond reasonable doubt that he has that possession of the ball. So yeah, and that's where actually, you know, it started, right? They were laughing and all that stuff. Rudy Gobert started, you know, acting tough when he's not, just picking on the smallest guy in the court.
Yeah, yeah, with Colin
Uh,
Gillespie, that was
oh my
absolutely
god, like,
ridiculous.
can you believe that? That's ridiculous. Um, but yeah, things just started, you know, to unravel on that Minnesota squad last night after that incident, and it lit the fire under Colin Gillespie and the team. And gosh, you know, but my favorite, probably second favorite on that sequence in the last under the last 2 minutes was the Colin Gillespie steal on the inbound by DiVincenzo. Uh, that was really cool to see, and then
Mhm.
just pass it off to Goody for a three from Dylan Brooks. So really nice.
Yeah, it was a really, really intriguing game, and you got to give credit once again to the guys that are towards the middle end of the rotation, towards the bottom of the rotation, because like you mentioned, they're not giving up, they're giving that fight, and we saw that kind of last year with some of those other players, like Cody Martin, right? I remember we talked about him last week on the pod, but like he was one guy
Yeah.
that like kind of came in and made an impact because the Suns needed what he provided. You know what I mean? But I feel like this time the Suns have all of those players understand it, that this is what they need to provide, this is what they need to do. So they're all
You're
bought
sounding
in.
like you're sounding robotic, Bruce. Maybe it's just me. I don't know if the stream sounds like that as well.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. Since Fever says your audio is really bad, so
Yeah, is that fixed now?
that is fixed. Yes.
Good. Yeah, it connected me to my. It does this randomly whenever we're recording. I don't know how, but my camera has a microphone attached to it, so it will pick up my camera mic while I'm talking instead of my actual like hypercast that I have like right next to me. So
Well, technology is weird. So,
yeah,
and at least for me, I'm getting old. So I couldn't catch up, but that's okay. It happens.
yeah.
Don't worry
So
about it.
I was saying basically the role players last year were like some of them could do the things that we needed, but now basically everybody on this team understands what they need to do on both sides of the ball, and they all understand that as a unit. So because of that, they're all willing to do that. Like a Gillespie is willing to fight and be relentless on that defensive end while also still looking to create shots and create opportunities. A guy like Dylan Brooks understands that, yeah, with Jalen Green out, he's probably got to be that second or third best guy there out on the court. But most times he can kind of take that step back, and if other guys are stepping up, he can let them kind of thrive, similar to a Royce O'Neal, similar to a Grayson Allen. And I feel like that's comparative to last year. It was kind of just that wasn't really understood, and I feel like that's where a lot of the problems really came into play with the Suns.
Oh, I totally agree on that regard. I think the roles are clearly defined for everybody
Mm-hmm.
that's in the rotation, and they started getting that lead, and as well as on that Atlanta Hawks game, um, they started really pounding it on when the energy guys comes in, the Jordan Goodwins, the Isaiah Livers, Ryan Dunn in there. So really, when a team has a clear, you know clear assignments, right, for each and everybody, it tends to have like a good result, um you know as long as they embrace it. So I'm glad, again, going back to the coaching staff, kudos to them for really having the players bite into the system.
Yeah, I'm very happy for what Jordan Knott's been able to do. I know a lot of people. Let's take a time step back to when Brian Gregory was hired and everyone, oh, Matt Ishbia is just hiring his best friend. Let's take a step back to when Jordan Knott was hired. Oh, the Michigan State connections. Oh no, we're just going to be a team full of Michigan State. Everything is going to be ruined. Where are those people now, and what are they saying? And who was saying from the beginning, let's not overreact. Let's take a step back. Let's see the evaluations. Let's see how these guys look in their jobs before we critique them. And so far, the Suns have been able to impress. They've taken those fans that were ready to take the pitchforks and force Osagudaro out of town after he was starting. Get out of here! Get out of here! They're now calming down. They're realizing that the Suns are playing good basketball. Luckily, as well, the West has been stacked these last couple of seasons with a lot of teams rising. But this season specifically, the West has been a little bit stagnant with some teams really not living up to some expectations. So the Suns might have a little bit of an easier chance. Obviously, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Spurs, the Rockets, those top 5 teams are expected to be up there. But the Suns are in kind of this conversation now with being 6th right now with the Timberwolves, the Warriors for that like 6, 7, 8 seed. And then after that, you got the Blazers, who they just beat, which is a young team, maybe could be a little bit good, a little bit better, but they're still young. The Jazz, who they've beaten, the Grizzlies, who they've lost to, but have had clear a bunch of injuries. The Mavericks, who they've beaten, who have injuries and are looking to trade Anthony Davis. The Clippers that they've beaten twice and have clear injuries with Bradley Beal looking to do other things. The Kings, who they beat at the beginning of the season, who have no direction. And the Pelicans, who they absolutely creamed already this season. So
For sure.
there's really, like, obviously I would argue the top 5 are definitely a little bit better. I would think that the Timberwolves and this Suns team can kind of go back and forth maybe with this Warriors team. But you'd have to figure that the Suns are kind of, even in a season where they're still good, but they might not be that the best that they can be. They could still be a play-in team for sure, due to the fact that some of these other teams just haven't lived up to their expectations.
Yeah, for sure. I like that that thought. You kind of mentioned those teams, and for example, the Clippers. The Clippers, they're Clippers. They we talk about the curse in the valley, but I think the Clippers is one of the most cursed franchises out there. Just couldn't really make like catch a break or something on these injuries. And then you have the Kings, who I thought was going to be pretty competitive, as well as the Grizzlies, but they haven't lived up to the expectations. So the Suns just have to take advantage on this strong start to this season, just feed off it, and hope for the best. But so far, they have exceeded expectations. Like I said, when the first time I came onto this pod a few weeks back, um, I try to temper my expectations, and I think I still do. But we're like how many games in, and you see this consistently with the Suns. um you know so it's kind of hard to temper expectations now, I'm telling you, right? But we'll see by the end of, or by trade deadline, as to where they're at. Maybe the expectations might be clear uh that time, if they're gonna go for it, at least be a playoff contender, and be buyers. um but we'll see.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to this next thing that we'll get into in a little bit. But I also kind of feel the same way with you on tempering my expectations. I feel like that's how I've always really been this season with this team. I expected them to be, I think, the 12 seed or 11 seed earlier on, and then I moved it up to around the 10 seed, and I was comfortable putting them at the 10. Could have seen them maybe better than 9 or an 8, but I was like 10 just I feel like makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're outdoing that, but I still got to see a little bit more, probably 25, 30 games
Yeah.
into the season to kind of really get that full evaluation, like you're completely saying. But you're talking about potentially being a buyer or a seller. So that leaves me to here with this comment from: the future becomes the present. So he says, are they a trade away from a good playoff team? Do you think that this Suns team kind of goes all in and on a trade, maybe like maybe it's like a smaller move, or maybe it's a Ja, a Trey, a LaMelo, one of those other point guards that's out there using that Jalen Green contract to take that next step? Or do you see them kind of being a team like, okay, even if we are a playoff team, we're still towards the bottom of the playoffs. We're clearly not in this top echelon with the Nuggets and the Thunder. So we're going to trade guys like a Royce O'Neal, a Grayson Allen, a Nick Richards to free up some more salary so that we can extend guys like Colin Gillespie, Mark Williams in the offseason. And then we could also integrate guys like Rasheer Fleming and Kobe Bryant to see what they could really do for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question to answer right now, because again, we kind of have to see an a full evaluation. The Suns haven't faced those top teams. They have faced Denver, right? Nuggets.
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah, and they lost, and we need to see how they fare against the OKCs, the Lakers, and all these other top teams, before we can really get a sense of what this team really is. Um, I don't know. To be honest with you, I think certainly we can answer that by probably January,
Okay.
when they've faced most of the teams. And
Okay.
what's the Suns' record against winning teams?
Uh, I couldn't tell you. Let's take a look. So they beat the Timberwolves yesterday. They're a winning team. Blazers are not a winning team. Hawks are a winning team. So 2. Pacers are not. They're not.
You're doing this manually?
Yeah, off the top of my head, 2-1. Yeah, they are 2-1 versus winning teams. They played the Nuggets, because the Kings are not a winning team. Clippers are not. Jazz are not. Grizzlies are not. Spurs they played 2. So 3-2. Sorry, I messed up. They
Three
lost to
and
the
two.
Warriors. I'd say the Warriors and the Nuggets were the two teams that they and the Hawks. So those three, and then they've beaten the Spurs and
So I
Timberwolves.
kind of put you on the spot there, but still, we're gonna have
Yeah,
to see
sorry,
more before we can.
two and three versus winning teams. So
Two and
wouldn't
three. Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't give because they beat the Spurs and they lost to the Nuggets, they lost to the Warriors, they lost to the Hawks, and they beat the Timberwolves. And then every other team's like Trailblazers, Pacers, Pelicans, Mavs, Clippers, Grizzlies. They all have losing records.
But yeah, as you can see there that they are beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. That's what's important, right? And still being competitive on those games that they've lost against those winning teams. So,
Hmm.
but then again, you cannot. I cannot tell right now. I cannot answer that question. Probably December or January. We can.
Hmm.
Um, but right now, no, I'm not gonna comment on that. I can't answer that. Yeah. How
For
about you?
me, for me, it's I've said this since the beginning of the season, and I still think I'm going to stick to it. Even if the Suns are that 6 seed or that 7 seed, it's going to be a tough first round matchup for them. Maybe they could sneak one playoff series win, but I don't necessarily know if they can do all that to be like a second round or a Western Conference Finals team at this point. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. And once again, I'd love to be proven wrong and to have this clipped and sent around the world because that would mean that the Suns are doing good, and I'd be very happy. But I don't think that I'm just coming to expectations with reality. I don't think that's going to
Yeah,
happen. So I do
yeah,
think that even though they don't have a first round pick, I do think that they will try to sell some of their players to get some of those younger guys in. Like I mentioned, a Rasheer Fleming, a Kobe Brea, maybe for a Royce O'Neal or Grayson Allen, because I do feel like those contracts still hold value. And if you're the Suns, especially with this year, with how they're playing, you kind of want to get the best value for these guys, right? You never know what's going to happen to a Royce O'Neal. I know he's expiring next year, but maybe he has a down year next year. Maybe since he is 1 year older at 34 years old, the defensive lateral quickness isn't fully 100% there. Or maybe Grayson Allen goes back into a shooting something. You never really know what could happen with these players. So I think it's best for the Suns to clear that money. It's $27 million. If you move off of Nick Richards' expiring contract as well, you can get cleared $32 million. And maybe if you can't get your own, you're not going to be able to get your own first back, but get any first back if possible, multiple seconds, use those seconds to get a first, something of that nature, even if it's the 19th pick or the 21st pick. That's a first round pick that you didn't have if you're the Suns. You can bring that in, use the flexible money to re-sign Colin Gillespie, re-sign Mark Williams, really keep these core pieces that have shined this season together with Devin Booker and stuff. And that's when you then make that next kind of step and realize where you want to go with these kind of contracts and then consolidating and what the next big move is for this team.
okay, yeah. But then again, we have to wait.
Yes,
As
exactly. It's
how?
not like it's happening now.
Yeah,
Most players can't be traded until December 15th anyways. So that's usually when most trades don't happen before then. Sometimes there'll be a trade or two that happens because there are some tradable contracts or a team like the Kings is just utterly so bad they decide to blow it up before the trade deadline and stuff like that. But we saw that last year with the Raptors with Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby a couple seasons ago. But I do think that after the December 15th deadline, we will see some stuff kind of transpire. We might see the Suns in the forefront of stuff. Maybe they are aggressive. Matt Ishbia does want this team to win. He has it in the past. Maybe they do get a little aggressive, even if it's not a star player. Maybe they do add another role player or two to kind of make their team a little bit better. But I wouldn't be shocked. I think they do realize that we're doing better than our expectations, and with the West being a little bit worse, we do look a little bit better than what we were supposed to be. So that's a blessing in disguise. But I think as we get closer and closer, if the Suns kind of look towards that middle of the pack, or their record looks like the middle of the pack, I do think that's when they'll not completely sell, but sell off of some stuff.
yeah, exactly. I remember the Denver Nuggets move um, before where they were in the middle of the pack, if I'm not mistaken, a few years back, and then they got Aaron Gordon at the
Yes.
deadline,
Yes.
right? And see
Hmm.
that the difference that made on that team. So um, maybe the Suns can make a similar move like that to boost their chances.
Hmm.
But then again, going back to my point, you cannot really evaluate this team right now to say
Hmm.
if they're going to go for or if they're one guy away from the playoff contention,
Yeah.
even a championship, um, uh, or maybe even a Western Conference contender.
Yeah, I think I can confidently say this team is a playoff team or a playing team for sure. I think
At
that they could
least,
at
yes.
least. I think that depending on the series, depending on where they place, they could maybe get a series win. But if they're going up against a Thunder or an Oklahoma City in a round one, I'm just being 100% honest. It's not going to happen.
It's not
It's
gonna
just
happen.
it's just not going to happen. They might
Yeah.
sneak a win, they might sneak two, but that's it. But Kev, I have one thing to you before we get into the predictions real quick because I got Cleaning the Glass pulled up here. I recently spent some money to get the advanced statistics so I could see
Okay.
some stuff. It's not that much. It's only $5 a month. It's pretty easy. But I'm going to ask you, where do you think the Suns rank in offense and defense throughout the season? But then we're also going to look at the last 2 weeks as well, looking at their offense and defense. So if you had to predict where the Suns ranked in offense across the entire NBA right now, where would you think they rank?
Can I have a cheat sheet, or can I research it?
Yeah.
Or okay, because I know that guy from ESPN has this landscape thing. Dude, what's the name of that account, dude? If this was Jake hosting, no, you can't look at it. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
They are.
Does it have to be specific, or can I say at least
Yeah, you can say at
all
least.
those stats that you mentioned? They're in the top 10.
They are. They are seventh currently at a 119.5 offensive rating. What about defense?
I think over the last few games,
No, this is just in
I'd
total.
say like around in total. I'm just gonna take a guess here. Probably at 108,
Close.
109 defensive
They
rating.
are 113 defensive rating, putting them at 11th across the NBA, which seventh in offense,
Okay,
11th in defense, pretty solid for the Suns
pretty
overall.
solid.
But if you look at the last 2 weeks, Kev, where do you think they rank on offense and defense?
I think in defense, I'm gonna take a guess. Probably under 110. Maybe 108, 107, and then offensive rating probably at around. I don't know. I'm not gonna take a guess
Okay,
on
so
the
I will
offensive
I
rating.
will give you you work very close on the defense. They are 5th currently in the last 2 weeks, and they have a 110.2, so just
110. Okay.
above, but 110. Offensively, though, they are the second best offense in the entire NBA behind the one and only Houston Rockets at a 125.5 offensive rating in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, it's gonna be a battle on Monday.
Yes,
that
it
that
is.
that is gonna be a bloodbath, and that's in Peacock, right?
Mhm. Uh, is
Gosh,
it? If it is on Peacock, then I'm not gonna be able to
or Prime.
watch because then I hate that it's on these stupid apps because then I can't watch. I don't have them.
Oh, I because in the
Oh, yep,
Philippines,
you are right. It is Peacock
is
on
is
Monday.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Because in the Philippines, that's the advantage. Regardless of where they are, I
Lucky,
can
lucky
watch them,
you.
right? So I don't miss any games unless I want to or I can't. But yeah, that's awesome. It's gonna be in Peacock, and then we're gonna beat the shit out of you know
Before we
who
get
that
into the
is. No, I'm
predictions,
kidding.
though, before we get into the predictions, let's get into this real quick.
Suzanne!
As we discuss the player of the weekend, we'll have to get some more drops because I was looking through here. We got no drops in
we need a Colin Gillespie drop. I don't care what it is. We need a Colin Gillespie drop. We need some more stuff. So we're gonna have to figure out how to
Yeah.
do that. I don't know how to do that. We're gonna have to figure that out. But we're gonna need some stuff added. So that being said, though, we have the player of the week. Who is your player of the week, Kevin, for this week?
Oh gosh, it's kind of hard when you're winning.
Damn Peacock,
But
says
it's
Jake.
tough as
Exactly.
well when you're for sure. Let's see. I don't know, Bruce. Maybe you answer first, and then I'm just gonna
I'm
feed
seeing what
off.
the comments are saying, and I'm going with the comments. It's got to be Colin. He was absolutely insane this week. Not just, maybe it's just yesterday. Everyone's woo, Colin Gillespie. He did absolutely amazing. But no, 15 points versus the Hawks, 19 points versus the Blazers, 20 points versus the Timberwolves there. He made 8 threes in his last 2 games. He struggled a little bit versus Atlanta, but you look at the stats all around. He's been doing everything. He's got 18 rebounds his last 3 games. He's got 17 assists his last 3 games, 5 steals his last 3 games, 9 threes. I don't even know, 35 54 points in the last 3 games. What more could you ask for Colin Gillespie? Someone that, let's be real, came on a 2-way contract. Not many people knew, had a struggling rookie season, went undrafted, but has been that diamond in the rough for the Phoenix Suns, and they're willing to invest in him by giving him these minutes. It was even said by Jordan Ott at the end of the game that when Booker were out and Brooks was out, that they knew they were going to call in on this game winner. They had it drawn up. This was going to be his opportunity, and he made the most of it in that clutch shot last time. Not the first time he's done it either, but just great to see for not only the growth of the Suns in general, for the fans, but for the growth of Colin himself. I know after the game, he tweeted out, "Great game," was very excited. Mark Williams even had a little bit of a meme that he tweeted out saying, "Don't worry, it's okay. Don't worry, everybody freak out. It's just Colin Gillespie." So just loves to see the vibes from the team and what he's been able to bring here to Phoenix in just a short tenure. And I can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do long-term with the Suns, because I do think he's going to be here for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I truly believe that as well, and you know, kudos to the Suns for really just securing him, right? Because he was not a two-way guy, so I love it. Colin Gillespie is not. I saw this tweet um, after the game yesterday. He's just not. He's no longer like a Cinderella story, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has game. He, but yeah, just to be. I mean, I totally agree. That he should have it, but of course we cannot be on the same side, right? When playing, when choosing the player of the or Shazam player of the week. So I'm gonna go the other way. All right, his backcourt partner. That'll be Jordan Goodwin, not the not your typical selection, right? But over the last 5 games, 7.4 points per game, 3.9 or almost 4 rebounds a game, and then assist 2.1. But there's something that you know he brings when he comes to the court, and that's energy. That it can't be measured by the stats, right? The energy, the hustle, and all the intangibles that you want from that position on that role. He's giving the Suns an extra boost for sure. So that's my player of the week.
Yeah, I love Jordan Goodwin. He's been huge for this Suns team. Obviously, reunion for Goodwin, and as he spent a little bit of his earlier career here in Phoenix, but going for that kind of redemption tour here and taking the most of it. Like we said, yesterday, 6 for 9 from the field in the game. The game before that, 4 from 10, 14, 6 for 9 from again. Legitimately, last 5 games, 13, 10, 14, 10, 13, all double-digit scoring. 5, 6, 9, 7, 4, 6 rebounds, 4, 1, 2, 5, 2 assists, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1 on steals. Just absolutely across the board has been able to do what he was brought onto the Suns team to do. Be that disruptive point guard, kind of be that secondary a distributor alongside Colin Gillespie, and I'm very, very happy that he's been able to stick around and he got the spot that he well fully deserved here in that training camp battle, and kind of fits the
Yeah.
role we need at that defensive guard as well. So before we sign off, Kevin, we just got the predictions. So the Suns, we have been predicting. We've gone a little bit lower. They've outdone our expectations. But this week, comparative to the last couple of weeks, we actually have some tough opponents. We have the Spurs once again tomorrow. They have no Victor Wembanyama, no Stephon Castle, no Dylan Harper. So a little bit of a weaker team. Sorry for the sneeze there. But
That's how you sneeze? Oh my God.
well, I
My
didn't want to sneeze on the camera, so I held it in. But
my my face is as controllable, it'll just explode when I have it. I don't have that luxury of being able to keep it down.
yeah, I had to control that one real quick.
What was that? That says Jake.
But the Spurs, a little bit beaten up,
Yeah.
taking on the Suns. So, and the Suns are at home. Then they take on the Rockets for the first time in the season. Kevin Durant will be coming to Phoenix on Monday for that back-to-back. Suns, I would expect not to play Mark Williams in both games. So keep an eye on which game Mark Williams does play. Maybe he doesn't play versus the Spurs because they have no Wemby, or maybe they use that to their advantage and hold them out versus the Rockets. But with the Rockets having a lot of size with Sengun and Adams, I would expect Williams to play in that second game. And then we have 2 NBA Cup games like we just had on Friday, this last game yesterday. 2 more coming up this week. We got the Kings on Wednesday on the road, and then we have the Thunder on the road next Friday night. The Suns do get into another back-to-back next weekend with the Nuggets that next Saturday, but that game will be a part of next week. So 4 games this week. Technically 2 back-to-backs, but only 1 counting this week with tomorrow and Monday. But then they get a little bit of a break for Tuesday before they fly on their flight before they go into Sacramento and Oklahoma City. So what's your prediction, Kevin, for this week? 4 teams. 3 of them are all playoff teams comparative to what the Suns have faced this year.
This is another set of challenge, and this is a tough stretch for the Suns here. They literally could go 0-4. But I'm not gonna go that way. I'll try and try to be optimistic, but something bad tends to happen when I'm optimistic. So, let's do. I think 2-2 is the best bet. I'd say we win the game against the Spurs because they're missing a lot of guys, and then another win against. I think there's going to be an extra motivation from the Suns when they face Kevin Durant that would lift them up, push them over the top. So, and that's at home, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think they're going to take care of the next 2 games and then just lose the 2 later this week.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit different. Most weeks I've been not positive, but I'm going to go 3-1 this week. I feel like they got this little bit of a wave coming in off of some of these bad teams. They beat the Timberwolves in a clutch game. I just have a weird feeling that they're going to do good. And then watch this week, they go 1-3, and then I'm mad. But just watch. But I think
you will lose your right to predict.
yes, yeah. But I think they'll beat the Spurs, like you kind of said. I think they'll have some easier opponents. I think they'll be able to beat the Kings as well. The Kings have just been in some rough waters. And like you mentioned, I think the Rockets, especially because it's at home. If this was on the road, I'd feel a little bit more questionable about it because KD's at home, kind of Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green kind of going into Houston, but KD's coming into Phoenix. And we all saw how that worked with a guy in Bradley Beal when he first came to Phoenix. I don't think the same response is going to be given to Kevin Durant. Obviously, I think we'll be a little bit more positive for KD here in this return to the Valley, but I don't expect him to get the most pleasant welcome either. And I do think that the fans are going to be saying some stuff. I think it's going to be a little disruptive at the Mortgage Matchup Center, and I do think that the Suns will get the victory versus them. if they somehow pull out a victory versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, then we can start having some conversations about this Suns team, because the Thunder only have one
For sure.
loss still, and are still without their second best player in Jalen Williams. So they still have the potential to beat the Suns. But I do think 3-1 will be my prediction. You said 2-2, and I think those are some good predictions for this Suns team. I mean, if they were to finish out this week being 12-8 or 13-7, I think we'd both be very, very happy at where this team is looking 20 games into the year.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. And hopefully for the best.
For sure. Well, Kevin, if there's anything left that you got, I'll let you kind of spill it out. But if not, then I can give you your floor to kind of tell the fans where they can find you and stuff, and we can close out the show.
Again, you can find me here in the Philippines, just messing with people. But my socials, you can follow me at I'm Kevin PS. I don't tweet much, but last night I did tweet Colin fucking Gillespie after that shot. So yeah, that's where you can find me and connect with me. And I appreciate you guys staying on. Sense Fever been very active in the chats, and Jake, I appreciate you dropping by, even though you're at a work conference, and the other people in the chat as well. Hopefully, the future becomes the present. JC was on here earlier as well. Not sure if he's still listening, but thank you guys for tuning in. I'm not seeing King Nacho in this chat, maybe because Beal is gone.
Maybe King Nacho only watches when they do bad. I don't know. Maybe he only comes out when the bad things are happening, and then when the good is happening, he hides in the shadows like Batman.
Yeah, because there's nothing to complain about, so I won't watch the show. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming in here and staying with us.
Jake says, I have no idea how Bruce watches games East Coast time. Bruce doesn't know how he does it either. Bruce doesn't know how he does it either. Bruce gets no sleep, and that's why, like you, Kev, I woke up 20 minutes before the stream started. So
I woke up like 3 minutes before the stream.
No, you're good. But guys, you can follow Kev at his stuff. You could follow me over at Bright Side of the Sun with some Suns news coming out. I have an article coming out either later today or this weekend coming out over there. We'll have more stuff over there as well. You can follow me on Twitter. It's my name right here at Bruce Velez, where I tweet about the Suns as well, giving my thoughts on it and extra stuff. And then if you want just all NBA knowledge and stuff like that, you can follow my YouTube channel, Switch City, where you can get all the info over there. But the Suns had a big week. They kind of outdid our expectations once again, beating the Blazers and Timberwolves, losing to the Hawks, and are currently 6th in the Western Conference as we speak. Let's hope for another successful week here, and we'll catch you Planeteers later. Have a great one.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay with us as the Suns get set to shine here on their home court.
Here's Perry. The guard hurt. Here's the jump shot. Good. It's good.
Al McCoy with you courtside. Comes up a three.
Suzanne. He ties it. Hey, D.A. Al and Tim up here.
happy
birthday. Yeah.
I know it's the ball, but happy birthday, baby. Here's Cameron Payne out on top. Durant, three-pointer straight away.
Suzanne.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone in this arena this afternoon, to all of those that are watching and listening on radio and TV. Thank you for allowing me to tell the story of the Suns for 51 great years.
That pretty much wraps things up here. And for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there. Thanks for being with us tonight. And from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.